I'm David Zonderman, and I'm a professor of history at NC State. I'm also the associate department head in history. And next year I'll be chair of the university faculty as well. What I love about my job is I get to do two things I love. One is I just love to teach, and I don't want to ever leave the classroom. And the other is I do like the opportunity when I can find it at the time to do my research and writing. I really do enjoy writing too. My first book was a book about early factory workers in New England in the decades before the Civil War, basically looking at the first generation of men and women to come off farms and small towns and get jobs in mechanized factories. What drew me here was just this kind of unique job. I honestly think we have an excellent department. Not only are we good scholars, good teachers, this is a department that's actually very collegial. The other thing I just like is I think the Triangle, even the 20 years of my family and I have lived here, has become a great place to live. The schools are good, libraries, parks, the art scene, really good restaurants now. So it's a very good place to live. When I got here, the director of the public history program was a man by the name of John David Smith then, and he very quickly introduced me to a friend of his by the name of Jim Clark, who was in the English department and ran the humanities extension program. And almost immediately, Jim Clark and I just kind of hit it off and had very similar interests in being passionate about getting humanities, in my case history, in his case literature and writing, to sort of broad public audiences across the state. Humanities extension is great. It struggled a lot. It went, there were a series of budget cuts that really hurt it. Just now, the Associate Dean for Research, Tom Birkeland, has been able to sort of track down a pot of money that was raised many years ago through the National Endowment for the Humanities, and we are using some of that money to rebuild at least a piece of humanities extension. So I've been working to recruit faculty to go back and do what we used to call our old high school outreach program, getting faculty, not just in the high school, but in any public school class where there's a teacher that wants someone to talk to their students about history, literature, political science, sociology. We have AP psychology taught here in the state. We want to get our psychology professors in those classrooms. Where I would like to see it, and in fact our chancellor has talked a bit about this, and I really applaud him for it. He's really talked about how do we take CHASS and make it more and more and more integrated into the university as a whole. That instead of, because it's not true anymore, it was beginning to change when I got here 20 years ago, but if you talk to people who've been here even longer, 30 or 40 years ago, CHASS really was sort of the service college. You just came here to take one humanities class to check off the box. The departments were small, it had very few majors. Now, as you probably know, we're the second or third biggest undergraduate college, at least on the campus. We're huge in that regard. So I'm hoping that strength continues, because I think the more students get broad liberal arts education, the better they'll be. I worry a lot of our students are getting overly technical degrees that may get them their first job, but once that job changes, they're going to be in trouble. Whereas our students may struggle to get that first job, but they'll have education for a 40-year career where they're going to have 5 different jobs or more. I'd love for faculty literally to be able to get out to all 100 counties, and for people all over the state, regardless of their own educational background, to sort of have opportunities to be exposed to history and literature and thought and art and music and drama and film and everything else, and get to see that the university is sort of without walls. So that's really dreaming, but yeah, that's what I'd love to see.